Hello artists, I'm Dalene FM and you are watching The Epic Journey. As an art instructor, how do I avoid formula teaching? I actually find it quite difficult, to be honest. Particularly in the studio where I'm asked by a lot of artists how to do something. You know, they'll often look at something that I've done or something that one of the other students has done and go, oh, how do I do that? And it's almost impossible to not give them a step-by-step instruction. So some of the ways that I try to avoid this is by giving more than one answer to that particular question. I would say, well, you can do it like this, but you can also do it like that. And then we'll go through some examples and we'll do some exercises together. That's one way that I avoid that particular thing. The other way that I do it is to rather teach the artist how to see what it is that they're looking at and then get them to answer the question. I'll say to them, right, what are we looking at here? Where are your darks? Where are your lights? Where are your high values, low values? You know, whatever is important to that particular subject. And then I'll say, all right, well, how do we usually tackle darks and light tones? How do we usually communicate those particular elements when we're painting or drawing? And get the artist to answer that question, and then, right, let's translate that into this particular subject. So it's not a one-word answer, and I will be honest that a lot of artists will look at me with big eyes and just give me an answer, you know, just tell me how to do it. As you know from this video, I am strongly against formula teaching because my aim as a teacher is to get you to be the artist that you can be. And by encouraging you to follow formulas, I'm going to be restricting that. A story that I often tell in my studio is how I used to follow an artist on YouTube that I now no longer follow. It was years ago, and I watched a couple of his videos and quite enjoyed them, I will be honest, quite enjoyed seeing how he tackled things. But I realized over time that he was very formulaic in the way that he taught, and he was definitely formulaic in the way that he painted. And I started to get the feeling that he had a very minimal repertoire of what he was capable of doing. I then saw a photograph that he posted on social network one day where he had a group of 20 or 30 artists, and they were all holding up paintings of a subject. They had all painted the same thing, and they were holding up all their paintings at the end of the day, a couple of hours worth of tutorial possibly, and they all looked exactly the same. And I just thought, that's not what I want to do as an art instructor. I don't want to look at a class full of students and seeing them paint exactly the same thing. I don't want to get to a point where you've now learnt everything that you can learn from me because my repertoire is so small that I've got nothing more to teach you. It's not about becoming a duplicate of your instructor. It's about learning what your instructor does and translating that into doing your own thing. You know, my favorite saying in my studio is, you're the artist, you get to decide this. You don't have to do what I'm saying. You don't have to take my instruction and follow it to the letter. You can take my instruction, consider it, and throw it out completely if you want to. You can take my instruction and alter it in some way if you want to, because it's your creativity that counts. And if I can teach you creativity before I teach you technique, I will consider myself as having taught you a good lesson. Some of my most rewarding experiences in my studio is when an artist will turn around and teach me. Because I'll often have an artist will say, you know, I was doing XYZ and I came across XYZ problem and this is how I solved it. And I really found those moments incredibly rewarding, because what that artist is doing is they've taken a lesson that they've learned and they've applied it to something different. You need to be able to learn to apply your lessons. If you are not taught in a way that you are able to apply your lessons that you've learned to other subjects, then you're becoming stale and you're becoming stagnant and you're becoming a duplication of your art instructor. And I strongly recommend that you don't allow that to happen to you. Thanks for watching. Your likes and your shares and your comments make more videos possible, so please go ahead and do that. And if you want to know more about the Epic Art Academy, please head on over to epicartacademy.com and I will see you there. Bye.